The war started officially 2011, like, following the Arabic Spring in the region, as you know, like started with Tunisia, then followed by Egypt. Something happened in Sudan, then Yemen, Syria, of course. So 2011 March, almost middle of March, some Syrians still, they debate on, few days between, like, is it 15, is it 10, because of different cities. But yeah, it was not a war, of course, from the beginning. It was, again, part of Arabic Spring, and I saw that with my own eyes with different cities. So just people going out, protesting. But then the regime reacted really aggressively, more than any other countries that I just mentioned. It was more of aggression and revenge, because we have a lot of ethnicities there, more than, for example, Egypt and Tunisia, different levels, different religions, parties, all that. So everyone was, I think, extra scared. And because of the dictatorship was too much, so also the regime itself reacted in a very, fight or flight kind of thing. And it started from there, but it got complicated. Way more complicated over the years. Some people, they call it civil war. Some people, they call it revolution. Some people, they call it, different names. It was definitely a revolution in the beginning, for a few months, if not few years. But again, different areas had different parties around. But eventually, after a few years, we've seen how Russia, Iran, different countries were, having troops on the ground or influence or supporting different groups. So as Syrian, we actually didn't know who's fighting who at some point, and who are these groups belongs to, or it was like mayhem kind of for a lot of years. And then this led, obviously, after only 1.5 years to 2 years from starting the war, this led to a massive migration. If you remember the boats and the horrible deaths on in the sea and the oceans, fleeing to Europe and other places. And then, that was like waves. But yeah, we can say, as a start, again, it started very clear, people just following the wave of the Arabic Spring. And then that happened, yeah, the reaction.
Khaled, most people can't imagine what it's like to be living in a country where there's war. How would you describe it?
I think the closest term to it, as simple as possible, is really hell. In how can we imagine it? This is the common term between all cultures, and hell, which means the extreme. And I can say also, to be fair, that different cities suffered from different levels of this war. So we got different cities that joined this revolution or the war, or we can call it whatever we want, later, like after 2 years or 3 years. So in these 2 years, they were suffering from economical effect of this war, but there was no destruction or killing massively like the other cities who actually started this. And to me, my city was really like started 2 weeks after, because it started in the south, in Daraa, and some in Damascus, and then after 2 weeks, my city just started, and we were talking about almost 500,000 population, my city. So, and this gave like a red alarm to the regime because of the geographical location. The city is very close to the capital, so they reacted more aggressively than even other cities. They wanted to just kill this riots or protesters, and then not to give them access to the capital. So immediately was like multiple troops, intelligence, secret police, and then later on, slowly, we started to see army, soldiers, and then tanks and airplanes, barrels, and But yeah, starting from 2012, especially I can remember officially the army joined this conflict in, if I remember correctly, in August 2012. So almost after a year and few months, the army officially went on the ground in all Syria and started to basically demolish cities and villages and bombing. We had some, like huge missiles going from the south to the north and everything. So if you ask me about how does it feel, this one was unique actually because we're not fighting an enemy. I mean, the people are not fighting an enemy, and the regime itself are not fighting any other countries or other ethnicity or anything. It's just all within. So as you know, like every family might have one soldier serving in the army, and also vice versa. The soldiers who are actually, let's say, or the officers bombing these different cities, they have families living there. It's their families, their brothers, so it was that kind of a hell emotionally and psychologically more than the actual physical fight or the killing itself. A lot of families split it out. I mean, they were not talking to each other anymore, or took different political parts or opinions. All small minorities started to clatter, by themselves in small villages, being afraid, and that's understandable, of course. So this tension started to grow and grow, and with the arrival of more extremist, groups, which took the whole situation to another horrible level. And then it was just descending to madness, I would say, from there. More fear, more killing, more torture, I can't really summarize it because a lot of things happened. And what I was thinking about when I was there for the first 2 years, because after that I managed to get out, but as I was there 2011 and 2012, but I was always watching the news and saying to my friends or family, like, this is less than maybe 10 to 20% of what's actually happening on the ground, what's being published. And especially on the Western media, that was way less and portrayed in a very careful manner, I would say, because it seems that they didn't take decisions. I mean, the European Union or the UN, some just press conferences or something, like, we condemn and we ask all parties to be calm and all that and find a solution or political. But what's happening on the ground was actually really, really awful. And that is because of 50 years of holding from the people and from the regime itself. And the regime didn't expect that at all, because they were, applying fear and dictatorship to the max. So they couldn't even grasp the idea of the people being able to be brave or do something on that scale. And the people were oppressed for 50 years, not knowing anything about it. This gave them more kind of motivation, like, this is the only opportunity we will ever have to ride this wave of Arabic Spring, and we can. So there was major escalation from every part, I would say.